Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 52 of ASP.NET Core tutorial. In this video, we will discuss how to keep our application domain models and database schema in sync using migration in ASP.NET Core. Along the way, we will also discuss how to add, remove, and apply a migration to our underlying database. We will also discuss how to undo a migration that is already applied and bring the database schema to its previous state. Finally, we will also discuss the significance of model snapshot class and underscore entity framework migration history table. As we develop our application and add new features, our application domain classes change. When the domain classes change, the corresponding changes have to be made to the underlying database schema as well. Otherwise, the database schema goes out of sync and the application does not work as expected. However, it is important to remember not to manually make these changes to the database schema. We use migrations to keep the database schema in sync as the application domain classes change. Let's understand this with an example. If we take a look at our create employee form, notice at the moment we are only capturing notice at the moment we are only capturing name, employee, department. We also want to be able to upload employee photo. So for that we need a new field. We will call it photo path and then provide a file upload control here, using which the user can upload a photo. In the models folder, go back to the Visual Studio. In the models folder, here is our employee model class. At the moment, we have ID, name, email, and department. Properties. We now need a new property to capture the photo path of the employee. The data type of the property is going to be string, and let's name the property photo path. Name the property photo path. And its data type is going to be string. We have named the property photo path. Now, if we take a look at the underlying employees database table, so how we can see our underlying employees database table. So go to the SQL Server Object Explorer. Here, expand this, expand database. And where is our database? It is our database employee DB34. Expand the table. This is the employee and expand column. So now if we'll take a look at the underlying employees database table, notice we only have columns for ID name, email, and department. Properties. We don't have a corresponding column in this table for the new. So first of all, we need to view the data. Notice we only have columns for ID, name, email, and department. Properties. We don't have a corresponding column in this table for the new property that we have just added, which is photo path. Now to bring our database schema in sync, with our application model classes in Entity Framework core, we use migration. Before we add a new migration, let's make a deliberate typographical error with this property. Let's remove the letter H in the photo path property and then add a new migration. Before adding the migration, let me tell you how we got this, our database, employee DB34. As you can see, the local DB, the full instance of SQL Server is MySQL local DB. So you have to specify this local DB backslash Microsoft SQL local DB in app setting file. As we have done it here. Okay. Previously, we were using only local DB. We were not specifying this full instance name of our SQL server name. Okay, so specify this. Now, what we were talking about. So we have made a typographical error with this property photo path. We have removed the letter H in the photo path property and then add a new migration. And how to add a new migration? To add a new migration, we use Package Manager console in Visual Studio. To get to Package Manager console, click on View. Where is the view? Here it is. Other window. Where is the other window? Here it is. And New Package Manager console. Here it is. Click this and you reach to the Package Manager console window. To add a new migration, we use add migration command. Let's name this migration. So first of all, we need to add migration command. We use add migration command. Let's name this migration add photo path column. Add photo path column. Notice a new file that contains migration code is added. It is taking time. Notice okay, notice a new file that contains migration code is added. Here it is, the file add photo path. And you can find this file in the migration folder. This is the migration folder. And here you will see add photo path column.cs file. This file in the migration folder, notice the file name contains a timestamp. Where is the timestamp? Here it is 2026 0411185745 underscore add photo path columns. And the name that we provided when we added this migration, this is the name that we provided when we added this migration. The class in this file has the same name as of our migration. The class in this file has the same name as of our migration, and this class contains two methods. And this class contains two methods, up and down. The up method contains the code to apply the changes that we made to the model class to our underlying database table. To our underlying database table. We added photo path property to our employee model class. So the code in this up method is adding photo path column. To the underlying employees table. Down method will undo these changes. Up method add this column. Down method up method add this column. Down method drops that photo path column. When we add a new migration, when we add a new migration, that command, in addition to adding this file which contains our migration code, it also updates this file. AppDB context model snapshot.cs. Notice the name of this file is made up of our application DB context class. Our application DB context class is appdbcontext.cs. So appdb context and then model snapshot. As the name implies, this file contains the snapshot of our as the name implies, this file contains the snapshot of our current model. This file is created when the first migration is added and updated with each subsequent migration. Entity Framework Core Migration API uses this file to determine what has changed when adding the next migration. If we take a look at the content of this file, notice it contains a snapshot of our current model. At the moment, our employee model class contains these, our employee model class contains these properties. ID, department, email, name, and photo path. Photo path is the new property that we have just added. Now when we add another new migration, Entity Framework Core uses this file. Entity Framework Core uses this file to determine what has changed. Let's actually add another new migration, but before that, Let's add a new property to our employee model class. So go back to the employee.cs file. Let's add a new property to our employee model class. Let's name this property some property. We may also give name sample property. Whatever property you want to name it, you can name it. I'm going to name it as some property. So let's name this property some property. Now let's add another migration. So how to add another migration? Go to the package manager console window. Add migration. Let's name this migration add some property. Add some property. Notice our new migration file is generated, and we also have a warning here. Though we have no warning here. Notice our new migration files add some property. It generated. We also have though there appears a dialog box Microsoft Visual Studio with the warning the file has been changed externally and has no unsaved changes inside this editor. Do you want to reload it? Though that is not being shown us, but it is showing this warning. An operation was scaffold that may result in the. Okay, guys. Notice our new migration file is generated. At this point, if we take a look at our model snapshot, so where is our, go to here, and this is the app snapshot, app db. It has our new property some property. So where is here it is. Notice this appdb context model snapshot.cs file has our new property some property. At the moment we have got two migration: add photo path column, add some property. Now to remove a migration we use remove migration command. Now to remove a migration we use remove migration command. So remove dash migration. So go back to the package manager console window. So remove migration. Remove migrations. Notice the message here: removing migration, add some property. Notice the message here: removing migration, add some property. So it removed that migration file, and it also reverted the model snapshot file. Since the model snapshot file has changed, So has changed. Now if we look at our migration folder, notice the migration files underscore add some property is removed from here. So there is no add some property underscore add some property migration file here. It is removed from here. Also the property some property is removed from the snapshot. So here you can see there is no some property. There is no some property. The property some property is removed from the model snapshot file. Next, we want to remove this migration. Next, we want to remove this migration. This migration as well. Add photo path column. So for our package manager console window, so from our package manager console window, let's execute remove migration command once again. Remove migration commands once again. Execute. Let's execute remove migration command once again. There we go. The migration underscore add path column is removed. The migration underscore add photo path column is removed. The model snapshot is also updated. And if we look in the migration folder, and if we look in the migration folder here, the respective migration file is deleted. Respective migration file is deleted. Now let's try to remove this migration as well. Now let's try to remove this migration as well. Alter employees seed data. Alter employee seed data. So from the package manager console window, let's execute the remove migration command one more time. Remove. Let's execute the remove migration command once more time. Notice we are not able to remove this migration. We have an error. The migration alter employee seed data has already been applied to the database. Revert it and try again. And if you look in the migration folder, where is the migration folder? We still have that migration files, alter employee seed data. So the important point to keep in mind is remove migration command only removes one migration at a time, and that too only the latest migration. That is not applied to the database. If all the migration are already applied, executing this remove migration command throws an exceptions. The migration has already been applied to the database. Revert it and try again. The obvious questions that come to our mind at this point is how to remove a migration that is already applied to the database. Let's understand that with an example. First, from our employee model class, let's remove this property. And then add a new migration. and then add a new migration. And then add a new migration. Notice add photo path column migration is added. It is again so notice add photo path column is added. Add photo path column is added. Let's apply it to the database by executing update database command. Let's apply it to the database by executing update database command. The migration is applied to the database. We can confirm it by refreshing our table. So go to the SQL Server Object Explorer. We can confirm it by refreshing our table and then take a look at the columns. Notice we have our new column photo path here. Notice we have our new column photo path here. Now let's another new migration. First, within our employee model class, let's include the sum property back. Now let's add another new migration. First, within our employee model class, let's include Let's include that sum property back, save our changes. Save our changes. And then go to the package manager console window. Add dash migration command. Add dash migration command. And let's call this migration add sum property. Add sum property. Add dash migration. Add sum property. Migration added. Migration added. Let's apply this migration also to the database by executing update database command. By executing update database command. Migration applied. Migration applied. So at this point, all the migration that we have in this migration folder, all the migration that we have in this folder, migration folder, are applied to the database. So at this point, all the migration that we have in this migrations folder are applied to the database. So when we execute remove migration command from the package manager console window, we get an error. So go to the package manager console and execute remove migration command from the package manager console window. We get an error. There we go. The migration has already applied to the database. Revert it and try again. To remove a migration that is already applied to the database, we have to first revert it. To revert a migration, we use update database command. To revert a migration, we use update database command. Now, if we refresh the employees table within our SQL Server Object Explorer window, if we refresh the employees table within our SQL Server window, notice we have both the columns. So refresh the column. Refresh it. Notice we have both the columns photo path and some property that were added by the last two migration that we have applied. That were added by the last two migration that we have applied. We have another table here. We have another table here with name. We have another table here with name underscore underscore. Okay. I need to close it. Okay, if it is. We have another table here with the name underscore underscore entity framework migration history table. Let's view the data. Let's view the data that we have in this table. This table is created by Entity Framework Core when we executed our first migration. It is used to keep track of all the migration that are applied to the database. As you can see, there is an entry for every migration that we applied. Now, if we take a look at our employee table, notice we misspelled photopath. Now, if we take a look at our employee table, notice we misspelled photopath. We misspelled photopath column, photopath column, and we don't need this sum property, and we don't need this sum property column. Basically, we want to undo the changes that these two last migration made to our database schema. We want our database to be in the same state as it was in when we executed this migration alter employee seed data. Okay. We want to undo the changes that these two last migration made to our database schema. Last two migration, add photo path column and add some property. So we want our database to be in the same state as it was in when we executed this migration alter employee seed data. Okay, we need to undo the changes that these two last migration made to our database. And to achieve that, we update database command. And to achieve that, we use update database command. and then specify this migration name, add employee alter employee seed data. So go back to the package manager console and update database. Update database and specify this alter employee seed data. Alter employees seed data. Okay, alter employee seed data. Alter employee seed data. Update database command and then specify alter employee seed data, this migration name. There we go. The command completed successfully. So the changes that these two migration made to our database schema are reverted. To confirm that, let's reload the data that we have in this underscore entity framework migration table. So click this refresh. Notice we don't have the entries for last two migration anymore. Notice we don't have the entries for last two migration anymore. Now when we refresh the columns within our employees table, now if we refresh the columns within our employee table, notice both the columns photo path, some property are gone. It is already gone without any refreshing it. Photo path and some property are gone at this point. We can remove these two migrations at photo path. At this point, we can remove these two migration, add photo path and add some property. To remove both of these migration, we have to execute remove migration command twice. We have to execute remove migration command twice. The first time we execute the remove migration command, remove migration. The first time we execute the remove migration command, it is going to remove the latest migration that is not yet applied. In our case, this adds some property migration. In our case, this adds some property migration. Let's execute remove migration once more time. Let's execute. Let's execute remove migration one more time. There we go. There we go. The other migration add photo path column is also removed. There we go. The other migration add photo path column is also removed. It is now in our employee model class. Now in our employee model class, let's correct the path photo path property name. Photo path property name. And we don't need this sum property, so let's delete that. And then add a new migration. Let's name this migration add photo path column. Add new migration. Add migration. Let's name this migration add photo path column. So add a new migration. Let's name this migration add photo path column. Now let's execute the migration using update database. Now let's execute the migration using update database command. There we go. Migration is applied. There we go. Migration is applied. and the correct name, photo path, full name, PATH, photo path. In our next video, we will discuss how to upload employee photo and then store the photo path in this photo path column of our employees table. We use migrations to keep domain model and database schema in sync. To add a new migration, use add migration command. To update the database with the latest migration, use update database command. To remove the latest migration that is not yet applied to the database, use remove migration command. Underscore entity framework migration history table is used to keep track of the migration that are applied to the database. Model snapshot.cs file contains the snapshot of the current model, and it is used to determine what has changed when adding the next migration. To remove the migration, that is already applied to the database, first use update the database command to undo the database changes applied by the migration. Next, use remove migration command to remove the migration code file. That's it in this video. Thank you for listening.